Balbriggan, a seaside town 20 miles north of Dublin City, has a unique claim to fame. It recorded the largest percentage increase in population in Ireland at the last census. People from all over the world are being brought together and becoming neighbours here, in a place they now call home. John Bown moved to Balbriggan 5 years ago with his Irish wife Marion.
The Rosellas. A friend of mine calls them jelly and custard. That's of me when I was 15. I basically say I'm a colonial. I say I was born in the true capital of Ireland, Liverpool, left there at the right age, 6 months, and went out to Malaya and was brought up in Malaya. It's now called Malaysia. And then I went to Rhodesia, which is now called Zimbabwe. So I go to a place and it changes its name. We met in 1969 in London. And we've been together ever since. Marion's not been all that well, and I've been looking after her. She's originally from Terenure. Went out to Rhodesia in 1979. Yeah. And then a year after that became Zimbabwe. And we stayed there for 25 years. Made our life there. Then things went wrong politically and economically, and it went downhill very, very rapidly. And it started getting rather dangerous. And I've been shot at, stabbed, and we got gassed in the flat. And we left about 3-4 days later. So I arrived here in Dublin with very little. That's all right, love. Since I've been here, it's definitely changed in as much that a lot more Middle European people have sort of come over and have settled more in Balbriggan. A lot more blacks turning up. I've travelled all over the world and seen quite a few different cultures, but now all I have to do is step out the door.
Being his wife Marion's full-time carer means that journeys out of the house are rare for John Bown. A trip every Sunday morning to Balbriggan Market is an exception and a treat.
Been coming here now for about 5 years. During the late 60s, right the way through to 78, I was working in backstage of theatre. In those days I was working on a show called Maim with Ginger Rogers, doing spotlights. And then I went on to work with a show called Hair. For some strange reason. And Marion did dressing. She dressed Eartha Kitt, Honor Blackman, people like that. It's one that she'd like. How much?
15 euros, sir. Would like to take this, please? Your size, okay?
Size 18?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll do fine. In the old days, Marion did dressing, and now I have to dress her. Luckily, after so long together, I know her taste.
John Bown, who spent 25 years living in Africa, has a new neighbour, South African Ayanda Intuli.
I saw him moving in and went out to introduce myself, which I do to most people that come here. But he's nice, he's friendly.
The estate agent actually told us that there's somebody who's from Africa. So when I met John, I suppose I have because he's a white person, it wasn't a problem because I'd met white people. Some of my best friends are white. No, some of my best friends are white, actually.
Because I'm white and I've lived out there, people think that I'm an oppressor of blacks. And, oh, you had servants and that sort of thing. No, only in one house did we have servants whilst we were there, and that was because we had 3/4 of an acre and we needed a gardener.
We don't really talk about home that much, about Africa. He's got a few birds around and he does a few sketches.
I do enjoy drawing. I generally draw birds. My attempt at portraits is not very good. I haven't seen any of his paintings yet. I believe he paints African type scenes.
This painting that I'm doing is called Road to the Moon. So hopefully, I don't know if I'll ever travel into space. Maybe when it starts getting, maybe if Ryanair gets into space travel, might be able to afford it. Maybe €10 flights to the moon, excluding the government levy. I bought him some shoes in South Africa. He asked me to get him some shoes, a special kind of shoes, which you can only get there. They're called bush shoes, you know. So it was great to be able to do that.
As a bit of a joke, I told him, oh, can you get me some fellies? And he hadn't really come across them. And I wasn't expecting anything. But sure enough, he got them for me. They're called African survivors. And being an African survivor, I thought it rather appropriate.
In Dublin's city centre, John Bowen is a man on a mission to keep a flavour of Africa alive in his new Balbriggan home.
And that is your biltong. Very, very tasty. All the protein you get in a steak, you'd get in biltong. If you hand out your biltong to somebody, you gain a friend. And it seems to be a tradition in South Africa. And
Hey, John, how's it going?
just been into Dublin.
Oh, wow.
Sadza and biltong. Enjoy, man.
Thanks, man, I will. Do you have time to come in or just...
Yep.
Oh,
Sure.
cool.
What are you watching?
Star Trek.
Star Trek.